McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. Tender, juicy, and its own sauce. Would you look at that? Well, you can't see it, but trust me, it looks delicious. New McCrispy strips, now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
The doctor in front of your name.
Oftentimes, like I said, I love that you're targeting Black men. And the fact that you're targeting, you could have just, called your platform Express Yourself Man. Well, you put an emphasis on Express Yourself Black Man.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we kind of emphasize our resources to a specific community, typically it's because like that community is important to us, right? There's usually some sort of moment that kind of like leads up to that. So I'm wondering, like, what was that moment where you realized that you were a Black man, namely a Black man in America?
Yeah. That's a really good question. And the first thing that pops into my head when I think about this is graduating college and then getting into corporate America. And so I went to HBCU. I went to DSU.
Hey.
Yeah.
Wait, what year did you graduate?
I graduated 2018.
Okay. Yeah, I was born.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. We ain't gonna talk about the year, right? But I graduated.
All that matters is that we both Hornets. That's all that matters.
Exactly. Right. So I graduated in 2018, and then I started this job. I worked on an Air Force base in Massachusetts. And anybody that listens to my podcast knows I have a deep dislike, I'll call it, for Massachusetts. And it's because of the 2 years that I spent in Massachusetts.
Wow.
I feel like Massachusetts is like the white version of New York. It's like, I mean, New York is white, right? Because you have a lot of white people, right? But
sure.
New York is a melting pot. Like, you're going to see a lot of different people in New York. Massachusetts just felt very, 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 very white. And when you think about where I was coming from at HBCU, where I was really in the mix with a lot of Black people, Black culture all around me all the time, it was a culture shock to be in Massachusetts, working in corporate America, having to do a 9-to-5 on an Air Force base at that.
Yeah.
Right. Where they have already this kind of like military or army or whatever culture. And so that's when I really realized that I was a Black man in America. And there's a specific conversation that I remember having with one of my coworkers. He was about, like, for lack of better words, he's kind of like the whitest guy that you can think of. Like, when you think about the stereotypical like white, like redneck guy that drives a truck with a long beard and like kind of big belly, drinks beer, that's the kind of guy that I had working with me. And I remember one time he was a cool dude, right? But he came into my cubicle and we were having a conversation and he was just talking about Trump and how he voted for Trump, right? And in that moment, I want to punch him in the face. I'm like, why the hell would you vote for Trump? Right? But I'm realizing, like, he's white. Of course he would. He doesn't give a damn about my experiences. He goes on to say, I voted for Trump and I thought he would be worse than what he's doing now. But, America doesn't even seem that worse off. And that was a moment that I really realized, like, damn, like, that's really the only thing I can say. Like, really, I'm really a Black man in America. This is a typical Black experience in like corporate America, where you have someone that's obviously benefiting from the systemic racism and all the different things that go on in our society and in our culture, and doesn't even understand how detrimental that it has been for me and the people around me, and really doesn't even care to hear. You know what I'm saying? Because me in that moment, if I go and say, yeah, well, I don't really agree with that because this is what's going on in my community, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it reaches him, maybe it doesn't. Does he really care that much? You know what I'm saying? And so that was one of those moments that I really realized, okay, I'm a Black man in America. I can't really respond the way I want to, and I have to be able to like curb the way I feel about this emotionally in order for me to keep my job.
The doctor in front of your name.
If you're looking for flavor, rhythm, and real culture, Chicago is where it's at. Hit a street fest in Pilsen, catch a free show in Millennium Park, or vibe out to a house music set where it all began. Then take that summer energy and roll through the rest of the state, hitting up hidden gems, chill outdoor escapes, and road trips for days. Enjoy Illinois, the middle of everything, Plan your trip at enjoyillinois.com.